Well, hello there, and I do hope you're all well. Now, a fan of Boris Johnson had an epic fail on the radio, and you'll need to hear it to believe it, honestly. Now, James O'Brien from LBC received a call from someone called Glen, who voted to get Boris Johnson elected, still believed in the Boris Johnson Brexit, and after his mother nearly died of COVID as well. You've just got to hear it to believe it.
Glen's in Hoddesdon. Glen, what made you pick up the phone?
Literally, James, it was just that you asked that simple question. Why do you think that normal people, or reasonably moral people, normal average people, aren't clamouring for like Boris and especially Trump and people like that to be thrown out?
Yeah.
And it's something that I thought about myself, and I thought about it because over COVID, we had a really, really bad time. I think I had a bad a time as, let's just say, most people would have had. So at the end of the day, when Boris was having parties, I was questioning myself as why I wasn't actually out with a placard with maybe people with the opposite, political spectrum protesting.
So you're a fan, traditionally a big fan, are you, of him?
No, not really at all. Not. I wouldn't say a big fan. It was just. I would vote Conservative normally, but it just surprised me that when all these things come out and you can't argue them right or wrong, why I would still be saying no, let's keep Boris. That did question me.
And you are in that. You're still in that camp, are you? You're still in the.
I really am, unfortunately, James. Yeah.
Well, don't say unfortunately. Why? What would I mean? He was having parties. What happened during COVID? What was the worst thing that happened to you during COVID?
Well, I lost my mum during COVID,
I'm so
and if
sorry.
I'm honest with you, James, that wasn't the worst thing that happened to me. So you can imagine it wasn't a very good time for my family.
And he was having parties.
And he was having parties, so why wouldn't?
But he's still your man.
A straight, normal person would be saying, "Look, let's get this guy out." Well, I thought about it really quickly, Jay. I know you've been so one.
No, I want no. You take as long as you want, mate. Seriously.
The simple analogy is, if you've got a really, really decent company like KPMG, somebody like that who looks after money and they're really good, and you invest £100,000, and over a year they get you a return of 3% every year for the last 100 years.
Yeah.
But then you've got another company over the road, and they're a group of scientists, and they get a monkey to throw a dart at the stocks and shares, and consistently over the last 100 years, they get you a return of 15%.
Right.
You go with a monkey.
Oh, I see.
I know that sounds... Do you understand what I mean, Joe?
No.
I know it sounds very, very
I understand the
childish or
words
whatever.
that you're using, but what's the return that you think that you're getting?
Okay, so for example, if that's my perception, that's what I think is a perception of most people. So say, for example...
But I can count money. Well, I mean, I was about to say, you clearly still... You still think Brexit was a good idea, don't you?
I no, but James... I didn't phone up here to argue the benefits of Brexit with you.
You kind of did, because you cannot defend Boris Johnson unless you're still clinging to the carcass of Brexit. It's intellectually impossible.
Fine, that's perfect. You've got me, but I'm not clinging to Brexit. I'm not clinging to the rights or wrongs of it. I'm clinging to simply one fact.
Go on.
That he got it done.
But he didn't.
So now, say for example...
But he didn't. He didn't.
In the perception of... In the view of somebody that says... I want to have Brexit.
Yes.
And you have Theresa May and you have the paralysis in Parliament. And if I could just jump to Trump 1 minute, if that would be okay. So,
yes, of course, Glen.
Believe me, I'm no Trump supporter either. I'm not that already. But what I'm saying is, if you're an American and he says, look, Americans for Americans jobs, and then Ford say, I'm moving a car plant to Mexico, and he says, do that and I'll tax you 50% or whatever it was, and they change their mind. That's people seeing things getting done.
Let's not talk about, because I don't think that happened, did it?
I actually think that did, James.
Did it?
But there were other things. Like I say, I'm no expert on politics, but when he moved it, and again...
Well, but let's talk about you. Let's zone in on this.
Sure.
So you've got the governor of the Bank of England warning that our economy is going to be the worst in the developed world soon.
Sure.
You've got even the government's own forecasts describing the damage done to our GDP by Brexit as being off the scale, worse than COVID, by multiples, worse than what COVID has done. The Brexit that you still think he got done is not done. They're now threatening to tear up the treaty that you're claiming as a reason for continuing to support Boris Johnson. They're trying to pass legislation in the House of Commons that would allow them to abandon what you have been persuaded involved getting Brexit done. So they're trying, literally, Glen, as we speak, they're trying to get Brexit undone. And here you are, still. Why?
they're trying to get just that border between Northern Ireland and England and UK changed, aren't they? That's what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Can I just say as well, all the forecasts as well, this is another thing
let's just focus on that. Because you use the phrase get Brexit done, that they are now trying to get Brexit undone.
Undone. But
so you can't cheer them for getting it done and cheer them when they're trying to get it undone.
But the point is, James,
Go on.
The things that they've said to we're going to do this,
yes,
they actually have done.
For example?
They've got, well, as in Brexit, and that you can criticise it now.
You have to listen to the words, Glenn. You have to listen to the words.
Listening to the words.
They are trying to get it undone. No, the only way that you could come out of the customs union and the single market while respecting the role of the Good Friday Agreement, the only way you could do that was by having a border in the Irish Sea.
But if they take away that border...
No, you can't take it away.
Why is that? Why is that, James? You'll have to explain. Why can't we just not have a border between what is Northern Ireland and the UK?
Because that would break the Good Friday Agreement.
But I'm not being funny, but if they want to have a border between you, this is what I mean, James. If you want to a debate to me, like for example, Brexit, or you want to take a...
What do you like about Brexit? What do you like about it?
No, but it's not. No, honestly, James, what I'm saying is my whole reason for calling was not to debate the fact of left and right. And I live with you for one reason.
You're still a fan of Boris Johnson, even though you lost your mum during COVID while he was having more parties than Peter Stringfellow.
Yes.
The reason the only reason you've got
I'm a fan of Brexit.
But you are. You are saying he got it done.
No, you're saying I'm a fan of Boris Johnson. Not at all. You can't be a fan of somebody that's made that many mistakes. But
here you are, supporting him, bringing me to explain your support for him.
If I think that down the road another thing's going to come up and it says, right, the country needs to do this and it needs to do that now, if he's the only person I can rely on to say, right, we're going to do it and I'll get it done, then that is what I'm trying to say to you. That is why so many people... But that's a bit like admiring an arsonist, because he has successfully set fire to a building. At least he got it done. So I'm going to insist... Nothing like admiring, James. I'm going to insist that you tell me what you like about Brexit, why you're glad it got done. I just want you to give me an answer. Back to Brexit? Yeah. Well, because a lot of people thought that... I don't care about them. I only care about you. I only care about you. What do you like about it? Governing themselves. What? No. Don't give me that. Tell me about what it is you like about it. Now, that is better. How is your life better? Why are you glad it got done? What's improved? Well, it's not improved. I tell you what hasn't improved. That planes on. Please just tell me what has improved. I would say I had a granddaughter recently. That's improved. Probably not a consequence of Brexit. So let's try again. What is it? Why are you glad it got? Why are you glad it got done? James, I don't know what you want to say. My life has very little change. Why are you glad it got done? Because I believe that the UK should be ruling itself. Exactly the same thing. The UK always was ruling. The UK always was ruling itself. Well, our courts said that there was legal. That's got nothing to do with Brexit. It's amazingly to do with Brexit. But that happened after Brexit got done, Glenn. Yes, exactly. Which is why. So how can Brexit have fixed something that you think is still broken? Now he's going to have to change another thing where the European. But Brexit got done, Glenn. Brexit got done. Yeah, exactly, but that European court, which has nothing to do with the European Union. And now he's going to have to change that as well. I'm going to say the words again, Glenn. The thing you're talking about has nothing to do with membership of the European Union. But no, it's just another thing that he's going to change. But if he needs to change that, who's going to change it? But Glenn, I asked you why you were glad that Brexit had been done, and you talked about Rwanda. But Rwanda is happening after Brexit got done. James, you can paint me as an extremist right wing if you want, but that's not me at all. Glenn, I'm not painting you as anything. I'm just repeating your own words back to you. The thing you've given me as a benefit of Brexit is a bad thing that happened with regard to Rwanda after Brexit happened. I wasn't calling you about Brexit at all. Of course you were. You can't separate Boris Johnson from Brexit, and you brought Brexit up, Glenn. When I said, why do you still like him, you said he got Brexit done. He got it done. So how come the Rwandan thing? How come the Rwandan thing happened then? Well, that's exactly it. Now, so now
It was
somebody has to
British
think
courts that stopped the flights to Rwanda. The massive majority of them were stopped by British courts, Glenn.
Then you've got me, James. Then I was mistaken.
But you still think he's a winner, though, right? You're still glad that he got Brexit done, even though it was British courts that stopped most of those refugees being deported to Rwanda against their
I
will.
thought it was the European Court for Human Rights.
That was the final. That was the and also the European Court of the European. No. That was the final cases. No, that was the final cases. Most of them had already been taken off the plane.
Overruled our
Yeah,
courts
but even if this was a zinger, it doesn't work because that's got nothing to do with the European Union. And do you know, finally, Glenn...
At the end of the day,
you're
not ruling yourself.
No, Glenn, you're not making any sense.
I'm not against you, and I'm not arguing with you. And I know that in a debate like this, you're far more intelligent.
It's not me. It's not intelligence, Glenn. There's just facts, mate. You can't argue about whether it's raining or not. Do you know whose idea the European Convention on Human Rights was?
No, James, but I'm sure you do.
Would you like me to tell you? Would you like me to tell you?
Yes, please. I would. I'll write it down right now.
Winston Churchill.
Fantastic.
And you're against it?
No.
Yes.
I'm against. I'm saying that I'm saying that we should rule our own country. Listen,
Glenn, the European Convention on Human Rights is the thing you've ended up raising as a consequence of me searching for things you thought were good about Brexit, and it's got nothing to do. Glenn, I look, they'll probably put this call up as a clip. Will you do me a favour?
Yes, James. Yes,
will you listen back to it?
I will.
And will you ask yourself this question?
Yes, I will, James.
Will you ask yourself, who did this to you?
Yes.
All right? Who made me this person? Who put me in the position where I sounded like this on the radio? And I don't mean that unkindly, but I care about you, and I care about the country where we live. I care about the country that your granddaughter is growing up in. I care about the fact that your mother quite possibly died as a consequence of lockdowns being brought in too weakly and too late, and the leadership from Downing Street throughout the coronavirus being inadequate and unclear. I care about all of that, and I care about you. Ask yourself, when you listen back to this clip, who turned you into someone that doesn't?
But I will do, James.
Mind, there you go.
As I was listening to this call, I just felt incredibly sad. Now, I lost my father during the lockdown. He was suffering with dementia and Parkinson's, so it was not to do with COVID. But the thing is, I was visiting my mum earlier this week, and we talked about our experience we had and how annoyed we was when we abided by the rules, and how we could never, ever figure or forget what our Prime Minister did and his lack of empathy. Because last year of his life, I didn't see him at all. All I saw, my dad was skin and bones, and the last day of his life, because it didn't really matter then. But George Orwell's quote about the party telling you to reject the evidence of your own eyes and ears, it was a final and most essential command, came to mind for me there. I remember when Winston Smith was, having his mind deconstructed in the Ministry of Love and having it put back together to suit the party political narrative, to a point where he loved Big Brother. And at the end of the book and the film, he did love Big Brother. And that was after James asked Glenn to listen back to this clip and ask himself, who did this to you? After all that has happened to him, and to his mother, and what our Prime Minister's done to this country, how is it he still loves Boris Johnson, soil himself on national radio, and still love Big Dog? Nearly said Big Brother then. Big Dog. What an idiot. But anyway, what do you guys think? Right, I shall leave the video here. Until the next time, I shall bid you farewell and take care.